Someone looks at you and says, "You're always on your own, aren't you?" Not a question, a judgment. Maybe it's your neighbour. Maybe it's your GP. Maybe it's your own family at Sunday dinner, looking at you like you're a problem that needs solving. And somewhere, quietly, you started to wonder, is there something wrong with me? Because you actually quite like it. The quiet, the stillness. Just you, a cup of tea, and nobody needing anything from you for 5 minutes. But the world keeps telling you that's odd, that you should want more people around, that being alone means being lonely. Well, I'm here today to tell you that the world has had it wrong for a very long time. Before we begin, if this feels like a conversation you've been waiting to have, please do subscribe to this channel and share it with someone you know who keeps their own company and wears it like an apology. They need to hear this.
Right, let's begin. Now, I want you to picture something for me. You're at a family gathering. The room is full of noise, grandchildren running about, the telly on too loud, 3 conversations happening at once. And instead of feeling warm and connected, you feel drained, a bit frayed at the edges, like you've been left out in the rain. And the moment you slip away to the kitchen, just to stand quietly for 2 minutes, something in you exhales. There it is, that relief. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know your brain is not broken. It is, in fact, working exactly as it should. Neuroscientist Dr. Marty Olson-Laney found something rather remarkable about people who prefer their own company. Their brains are more sensitive to dopamine, that chemical we associate with pleasure and reward. They simply need less of it to feel content. Too much social stimulation, too much noise, too much input, and the brain doesn't feel alive, it feels overwhelmed.
And here's the part that nobody tells you. People who genuinely enjoy being alone are often using a completely different brain pathway. One powered by a chemical called acetylcholine, which supports calm, alert thinking, long-term memory, and deep reflection. That afternoon spent pottering in the garden, reading quietly, sitting with your own thoughts, your brain isn't idling, it's working. It's doing something that the noisier world never quite lets it do. So when someone implies that preferring solitude is somehow sad or strange, what they're really saying is they don't understand your neurology. And that's their limitation, not yours. The difference between alone and lonely. Now, this is the part I feel most strongly about, because I see it misunderstood constantly, even by other health professionals. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing, not even close. Loneliness is a distress signal. It's your brain telling you that something is missing, that you want connection and you're not getting it. Researchers at the National Academies of Science found that chronic loneliness in older adults is associated with a 50% increased risk of dementia, a 30% increased risk of stroke, and a 26% increased risk of early death. Those are serious numbers, and I take them seriously as your doctor. But solitude, chosen solitude, is something else entirely. Research published by the British Psychological Society found that for older adults, periods of time alone are not just tolerable, they are necessary. After social interaction, the people who did best, who had more energy, more life satisfaction, were the ones who gave themselves proper time alone to recover and restore. Solitude, in that context, isn't a withdrawal from life, it's how certain people prepare for it.
So ask yourself, honestly, when you're on your own, do you feel relieved or do you feel forgotten? That distinction matters enormously. One is a strength, the other is a signal worth paying attention to. 3 types of people who choose to be alone. Now, in my experience, both in clinic and in the research, There isn't just one kind of person who loves solitude. There are really three, and it's worth knowing which one you are. The first group are the ones I call the rechargers. These are people who genuinely enjoy other people. They love their family. They'll meet a friend for lunch. They're not reclusive. But after any significant time with others, they need to come home to themselves. They need the quiet, like some people need sleep. The science backs this up completely. Researchers found that older adults with high life satisfaction and strong daily energy were the very people who spent more time in solitude after socializing, not less, more. These are healthy, well-adjusted people who simply know what their nervous system needs. The second group are the deep thinkers, the ones who find that their best ideas, their clearest perspective, their sharpest sense of self only emerges in silence. Research from senior living studies shows that solitude actively enhances creativity, cognitive function, and self-reflection in older adults. These are people who, when they're finally quiet, are actually doing some of the most important mental work of their lives: reviewing, processing, understanding. That is not wasted time. That is essential time. And then there's a third group. And I want to be honest with you here, because as a doctor, I believe in honesty over comfort. Some people choose to be alone, not from strength, but from habit, from a life that slowly, quietly subtracted the people in it. A spouse gone, friends moved away or passed on, children busy with their own lives, and somewhere along the way, solitude stopped being a choice and started being the default. And they've made peace with it, or so they tell themselves. For this group, I'm not going to say there's something wrong with you, but I am going to say the research is clear that when solitude is involuntary, when it's what's left rather than what's chosen, it carries real health risks. Not because being alone is dangerous, but because feeling unseen, unheard, and unconnected over a long period of time puts strain on your heart, your immune system, your cognition. So if you recognize yourself in that third group, please hear this as an invitation, not a scolding. One meaningful connection a week can change the trajectory of your health. Not a party, not a crowd, just one person who sees you. What solitude actually does for you. Let's talk about what the research shows happens when solitude is working, when it's the healthy kind. Solitude reduces cortisol. That's the stress hormone that over time quietly damages your cardiovascular system, disrupts sleep, and suppresses immune function. When you step away from the noise and give yourself genuine quiet, your body calms down at a biological level. That's not poetry. That's physiology. Solitude also keeps the mind sharp. Solitary activities, reading, writing, playing music, gardening, crosswords, engage the brain in ways that passive socializing often doesn't. They require focus, memory, problem solving, all of which matter enormously for reducing cognitive decline as we age. And perhaps most surprisingly, solitude can actually improve your relationships. When you've had proper time to yourself, when you've processed your own thoughts and emotions in quiet, you come to other people more present, more patient, more genuinely interested. You stop performing, you start connecting. There's a real difference. A word before you go. I want to leave you with something that I think is rather important. Society was built around an extrovert's model of a good life. Busy, social, visible. And if you don't fit that model, if you find more peace in a quiet afternoon than in a room full of people, you've probably spent years wondering if something is missing in you. Nothing is missing. Some of the wisest, most emotionally grounded people I have ever treated
are the ones who learned long ago how to be comfortable in their own company, who don't need noise to feel alive, who can sit with themselves and not find it unbearable. That is a skill, a rare one. But please, and I mean this as your doctor, please make sure the solitude you choose is yours by choice, and not simply what's left when life got quieter than you expected. If it's the latter, come and talk to someone. Me, a friend, a helpline. You deserve to be heard. If this conversation felt like something you've needed for a while, subscribe. Share it with someone who keeps their own company a bit too apologetically. Because the next time someone looks at you and says, "You're always on your own, aren't you?" you'll know exactly what to say. Nothing is wrong with me. I simply know what I need.